system. Activating combat mode.
Commence mission. We'll start by clearing the way for Arquebus. Take out the Gatling cannons protecting the city, and the Baus Tetrapod MT further in. There's heavy fire coming from up top. 621, keep an eye out for cover.
Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve, and yes, we are in Armored Core 6, the GOAT, one of my favorite games of all time, and yes, I am working on a visual mod for it. Today, I just wanted to show a quick thing of how I figured out interior shadow casting, as obviously the game has shadow casting for like large map pieces. Everything outside basically is already shadow casting from the sun, but does it have local shadow casting for like spotlights? No. And so I'm working on figuring out how to enable shadow casting for a lot of the smaller lights that are basically like particle effects, and they bake in their point light. That I have not figured out yet. However, I have figured out in the interior, which is where they use a lot of spotlights. And so let's go climb the wall real quick. We just need to get inside, and then I can show you. Also, if I suck at playing, this is my brother's build. I've been forcing him to play the game. He's loving it, thankfully. He's currently stuck on Balteus, understandably. Okay, well, you know what? And yeah, so I just figured out the interior shadow casting. And there will be G param edits. Like here you can see I do not have the vignetting, which Armored Core 6 uses like crazy. And it's where basically they darken the edges of the screen. And Armored Core 6 uses it like crazy. It's insane. So now look at this clean image. We have no darkening around the corners. Easy thing to disable in the G params. I also found a setting for upping the screen space reflections resolution. Not terribly noticeable, but you know, I've been looking at that. So here's where we get our first taste of the spotlights that are shadow casting, and you get to see new shadow casting on objects. And then I'll show you in Smithbox how you actually enable that. So let's go in here, kill some peeps, kill some jabronis. Here we go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Kill this last guy. Nice. And so you can see the objects here are actually casting shadows, although I just destroyed them, so now they are not. But we do have spotlights here that you'll see are now casting a shadow on the player. And by default they were not. Your player would walk up here but have no shadow. Or your mech, I should say. Now the shadows are pretty low quality. I'm going to look into fixing that, but I kind of wanted to get it at least going. But now you actually have shadows being cast by all of these. The biggest difference, and this is what you saw in the thumbnail, is right here. This object was one of them. Plus this, you can see now have shadows. And it's not like super noticeable without the shadows. I think people like playing the game, you're running through, you're gunning, you're shooting. You're not really like thinking of, oh my god, there's no shadow. But now the point light, or the spotlight up here, you can see my character's actually casting a shadow. And this specifically has a shadow, so it makes for a good thumbnail. Just a little bit of added realism. I still say it's not something that's terribly noticeable. But, you know, that's what these visual mods are for, is going the extra mile of things that, you know, most people would just be like, I'm not going to notice that difference. But I think it's kind of cool to have a shadow being cast here from this spotlight up here. And you can see the shadows actually hitting the doorway here. And then even as you open this, there should be a shadow that, yeah, you can see is being cast right on the side. And you can see it coming in here. And then even in here, another split screen I can show is there's now a shadow actually being cast underneath this stairway, where before it was just all light because it wasn't being stopped by anything. And so that's kind of a small look at it, but let me show you in Smithbox how I did it. So let's hit the menu here. Let's go into Smithbox. Let's unload this map. And I'm going to load the wall central Bellius map in Smithbox. And so now you see we get the whole area here. We have all of the big green orbs are the point lights. And, you know, you have LOD models. We have all the cool things. So I basically had to figure out, oh, that's weird. They actually have a little box in here. I wonder what that's for. So here's the door we went into. And let's see. Okay, we have a bunch of point lights. Don't need that. Oh yeah, I always forget this turn. So here's our spotlights. And basically I went in, I turned them to be casting shadows, which is the default way you would do it in Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, any of that. So none of that's new. But basically I had to then go and on the map pieces themselves, they are actually, I had to turn them on to be a point light shadow source, and a static shadow source. And it's obviously already a shadow destination by default. But basically I turned those on, easy peasy lemon squeezy. That was kind of the combo. But the shadows are really low quality. So that's something I'm testing is like, okay, maybe it needs to be a cascade shadow source. But I've had luck thus far with the point light because it has to be a point light. You have to tell the engine, I need you to cast a shadow from that point light. Because otherwise you can just have it ignore that. But by default, none of these were casting shadows. Here's the thumbnail, basically item or object that I turned over to be a shadow source. And it's still destructible as per usual. It's just that little twist here of whoop, shadow source, save it. And then as far as like the G-param tweaks that I'm making, those you actually do it based on the map name, which is M50_30. So you can actually go in here to param, draw param, and then here's your actual draw params for each map. We have 5030_0000. And what I did is you basically hit witchy B and D to unpack it, and it becomes an XML file. And yes, I'm using Notepad, not Notepad++ or anything. And this is where you can mess with the light sharpness for the directional light, like the fall off of that, which I have tweaked. I turned off SSAO from like the sunlight because I found that to just kind of make more of a mess than anything. And then the other thing you can easily do in here is turn off the hero lighting, which I also did in Bloodborne, which I think I had in just a recent video I showed that, which is you can also turn off the light mask, which is basically how it turns off being shadowed or not. But here it's dynamic, so like the light mask I haven't found terribly useful. I have not really tweaked any of the SSAO settings. Here you can mess with the tone mapping, and here is the vignetting. So the vignetting is unbelievable in this game, and it basically has like default vignetting power. And yeah, I just turned that to 0. So my upcoming mod for this, I don't know when I'll release it, frankly, because honestly the game isn't that big. You'll see a ton of like maps here, but most of these are actually just for like the different versions of the maps and the different like enemy types and or different like layouts for different parts of the story. But the actual like maps are all just right here. There's not a lot of them, and you can go boom, 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 done, edit, interior shadow casting. So like I can see that being pretty quick to release a mod for it. So you just get shadow casting on the inside of areas and point light or spotlights on the outside. Now for G-param edits, Trivia, who I've worked with a lot, if you've watched my videos, you know, I'm gonna have her handle the G-params because she's better at that than I am. And you can like align the light direction. There's a lot of different G-param tweaks that you can make for AC6. I also had to switch, like for this area down here, I actually had to switch on the back face, or switch off back face culling for these different models. And the other thing I'm looking into is figuring out how to switch the, like there's puddles on the ground in these maps, and they use like a just god-awful cube map. It's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. And Armored Core 6 obviously supports screen space reflections, right? It uses them on water all the time, and it looks pretty decent. But for some reason on these puddles, they're just stuck with a cube map. And I have not figured out yet how to change that over to SSR. Now the other thing I'm looking at, and I hope to be able to figure this out, is the garage. So as you may be aware, Armored Core 6 only supports ray tracing in the garage. It does not support ray tracing anywhere else. So if you want to enable that, I have not figured that out yet. But if one map can have it, I don't see why the other maps, I cannot figure out the trigger for it. Some way I'll be able to figure that out. Because Elden Ring has ray tracing, and you're able to use it anywhere. And it's the same engine. So that I am very curious about as to why. Now in here, in the garage, I did actually enable shadow casting, just for funsies. I don't think you'll ever notice it, because there's only like one camera angle in the garage, but this is actually what the garage looks like. It is an actual physical map. And they have like what your AC hangs on, and these are all the point lights and spotlights that are in here. But yeah, there actually are shadows now being cast by these specific spotlights. And I did notice it on, I think I need to up one of the point lights, because then I actually saw the shadow being cast from these little fans, the point light behind them. I did actually see like the fan blades turning. So that's something else that I'm looking at. I do see that a lot of these point lights are just for specular and some are just for diffuse. That's interesting. Normally with a lot of the point lights, you'll have it balanced between the two, where it's showing not just the shininess or metallic nature of it, but also the diffuse. So that's interesting. I'll definitely be looking at that for the point lights to see if that could make a difference. But there's a lot of different things of tweaking in Armored Core 6, but this was sort of like the initial stuff that I kind of wanted to look at. And I say we do the wall boss fight up here to end the video. See, this little light here is actually an SFX, and so I haven't been able to enable shadow casting on this just yet, because I don't know what SFX it's using to then edit and then tell it to be shadow casting, because those are baked into the particle effect itself, of how they handle that. So that's a separate file, because I'd love to turn those on too. Yeah, give me a supply. Okay, thank you, big dog. And yeah, like this also being shadow casting, like these little particle effects. The problem is I just don't know what those are. But these spotlights are now shadow casting, so that's nifty. So now you can see the little shadow on your AC. And then it's also casting a shadow on this little pop-up open whatever the fuck that is. Let's go fight this boss. I've been yapping for like 13 minutes. Now it's time to climb the wall. And this is one of the sickest lines here.
You must be Raven. One of the infamous handler Walter's hounds.
This is one of the sickest games of all time, chat. Just so you know. If you haven't played Armored Core 6, you are missing out. It is literally one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's like top 3. I think it's definitely the most fun I've ever had in a video game. Okay, also if I suck at this boss fight, it's because I'm recording, and just know that. Sick. Okay, we're cooking it. That is the stuff, Rusty. I agree. It's coming towards you. It's not coming towards me. I'm totally fine, Rusty. Oh, I love that. Oh, okay. You didn't give me credit for that second one? I don't know about that. Okay, we're kind of crushing it. We're kind of crushing it. He gets a little harder in the second phase, of course. Yeah, V4, I love you, big dog, buddy, actually. Oh, fucking, we got snailed. This game is all about getting snailed. And if you don't know who Snail is, he's fantastic and evil. And I love his voice actor so much. Okay, well, I should go up in the air. Yeah, this is also my brother's. I think I said it before already. This is my brother's AC, so I am not... I usually have dual shotguns. Okay, buddy. Alright. Oh, you didn't give me that? You didn't give me that? Oh, fuck. Okay, I almost got it. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. That's the wrong button. That's the wrong button. Oh, you didn't give me those missiles? I don't know about that. Assault boosting is the fucking coolest thing of all time. Oh. Really? Damn, I keep bumping into him. That's so good. Oh, okay, good. I still got him. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, we still got him. We still got him. Check it out. We just climbed the wall. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. This game has the sauce. Just so you know, this game has the fucking sauce. It's so good. I can't get enough of this game. Oh, also today, later, my brother and I are going to play the Armored Core 6 co-op mod. And not recording it or anything, but I'll report back on that. I haven't tried that mod yet, but a co-op Armored Core 6? Are you fucking kidding me? That's insane. But yeah, so basically I'm making an Armored Core 6 mod, and yeah. I don't know, kind of goofing around, having fun. Got to figure out the local shadow casting being low quality. Got to figure out the shadow casting for like the little tiny lights that are not spotlights or anything. But I'll figure that out. And then the puddles, I want to switch those over to SSR somehow. I want to figure out ray tracing beyond just the garage, because I swear to God I'm going to figure that out. That would be such a giant like upgrade. Well, kind of. To be fair, the ray tracing that FromSoft currently allows kind of sucks. It's like RT shadows and RTAO, I think. I think those are the two that they're using. They're not really doing reflections. They're not doing GI. It's kind of, you know. But I'd love to learn more about that. So I might be looking at Elden Ring to see if I can learn from the G paramps there. And maybe try to figure it out. So anyway, thank you for tuning in to this little kind of rambly, goofy, I mean, that's what all my videos are, so I don't think anyone's terribly surprised. But yeah, so expect more Armored Core 6 videos as I figure stuff out. Obviously, Bloodborne is still number 1, Dark Souls 3 Remastered is number 2, Armored Core 6 is number 3. And then I will be working on something for Demon Souls soon. I'll have a video coming up soon about that. Working with a toolmaker on something that is for the future. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching.